it's real easy to get caught up in life, when it's hectic and busy and just all the challenges that we all face with it, and to never really step back and take the time to think about these things. But I feel like once you hit this age, those questions start to pour in, and they carry weight, and that weight weighs heavily on you, as time moves on. And I know for myself, I almost feel like I don't even like the direction the world is heading, but yet I feel like I'm being taken along for that ride. Up until this point, I haven't really cared for what it is that I've done with my life, but yet I feel like life's just taking me wherever and I'm just along for the ride. Um, but at some point, we have to recognize that regardless of where the world goes, and times are changing for sure, and there's a lot of stuff that's here and that's on the horizon that I am not looking forward to, and that honestly I'd rather not be a part of. But unfortunately, each of us are at this time, during this time, for a reason, for a purpose. Like, we are here right now, living in this time for whatever reason that may be for each one of us. And I think that it's our duty to try and figure out what that is and to try and fulfill that purpose. And I think, there's so many people out there that are just living life not on their own terms, but basically because it's where life is taking you. And, maybe you're like me and sick of not being in control of it. And I think, there's some things we can do to try and regain that control. And the first step is recognizing that you're not the one behind the wheel, and trying to figure out what it is that got you here. And if your reason ends up being, I think what it is for all of us is that you just you weren't being intentional with everything that you were doing, and you were just going along with the motions. Well, then that's why you're here now, and you're not content, you're not happy here. So what does that mean? How do we fix that? Well, I mean, if it was not being intentional that got us here into this place, well, then what it requires to change that is to be intentional. And so I made a video last week, and that was the word of the day: intention. And it's so important to be living with intention. If we're not, we're wandering aimlessly through this life. And when you hit this age, just can't be doing that anymore. There's not enough time to be wandering aimlessly. We have to have our sights set on something, and whatever that is, it has to be equal to in value as the time it takes you to get to it. And so for me, what that is refocusing my energy and my efforts off of myself and onto others, trying to help others, because I recognize that um, that's what it would take to change the world here. Like, we live in a time of negative headlines, and just we're constantly bombarded with negativity from every direction. And and in order to combat that, we have to go at it with the opposite of what it is that's coming at us. And so that means when the inputs are constant negativity, the outputs should be constant positivity. And that's how you combat everything. Like I said, I mean, if you ended up in this spot and you're looking around like, what, how did I get here? This is not where I want to be. How did I end up in this place? Well, it's because you weren't intentional. Obviously, you didn't intend on being here. So to move out of that space and into a more purpose driven life, that's going to require you to be intentional. And so that's what you combat that with. And I think YouTube's a great platform to reinvent yourself. You know, there's so much opportunity here. You figure, I mean, the media landscape is changing. People are getting sick of the old stuff, you know, the fake stuff on the TV and just Hollywood and all, like everything's just fake, and people are, I think, sick of it. You know, people want authenticity, people want real, people want stuff that's genuine. We're sick of the fake, you know. And so I think that you know, now's a great time to jump into this thing because people are yearning for human connection. And as we move into this time of AI, that's going to, you know, we're going to grow further and further apart if we allow this thing to come in between us and to take over every aspect of our life. And so I think that we need to be very careful with that. And we have to stay connected to each other. You know, that's the one thing that makes us different from that machine is the humanity. And we can all in some way deep down inside of us relate to that fact that we are all part of this humanity. And you know, I do, I believe people are yearning for that. And it's going to be even more of a market moving forward as we get further and further into this AI, because it's going to become hard to distinguish what's real and what's not, you know? So that being said, I just think that, you know, we have a a great opportunity here with these platforms. You know, I know that they're not perfect, but they are a way to reach out into the world and to try and touch people and make an impact and to you know, make your mark. And so if you're like me and you've hit that middle place in your life, you know, your midlife crisis, if you will, allow that to be what reinvents you. You know, don't, at this stage we can't fear what other people think anymore. There's just not enough time for that. You know, that was for when we were in high school. You know, that was for a time and it served its purpose during that time. But now at this stage of life, we can't be worrying about what people think. You know, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And, you know, like I said, what you combat negativity with is positivity. That's just all there is to it. And so I think everybody has something to offer. And so, um, yeah, this is the journey I'm on. If you feel similar, like you're not in control of your life and you're just being taken on this ride of life, hop off here, hop off here, follow me as I go through these steps and see that it's possible for anybody and everybody to do the same if that's what you feel led to do with your life. Nothing will change if you don't change it. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that you have no control over, but there are still things in your life that you absolutely do have control over. And in order to make a change, something has to change, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, if you're like me and you're at that stage, it's time to start banging, you know? Start banging. Let's do it. Casper's out. How do I do it?